Welcome to episode number 8 of the Sub 220 Marathon Project video series, a series of weekly videos leading into the Berlin Marathon 2022, where I'm documenting my journey in attempting to break 2 hours and 20 minutes for the marathon in Berlin on September the 25th, which is just under 4 weeks away now. I'm not going to lie, I'm very tired. It was the biggest training week I've ever done the last week in terms of volume. Just under 100 miles, I think it was 99.5, ended up being, not necessarily chasing the miles, but if you do look at the volume, it was the highest volume I think I've ever done. I may have done a week very close to that, or a week or two leading into Lake Biwa Marathon a few years ago when I ran 224 in Japan. But either way, it's definitely been the largest month I've ever done. And before I go through the training week and do a little summary and answer the 4 favourite questions of the week this week, there was some really good questions come through on the YouTube comments. I want to say a quick thank you to the sponsors of this video series that are bringing it to YouTube for you to watch. The first sponsor of the Sub 220 Marathon Project video series is Soar Running Apparel, my go-to running apparel brand based out of the UK that I've been using through this full marathon build-up. Every workout I've completed in the Soar running kit, and I'll be racing in the Soar running kit at the Berlin Marathon. I approached Soar to sponsor this video series just before the 12-week block began, and I was absolutely stoked when they came on board and wanted to get involved in this video series. I'm a huge fan of Soar, mainly due to the durability of their gear and also the design, and it's also really good in hot weather, and it's been so hot up in Boulder over the last few months, and it's just very comfortable to wear in the heat. So huge thank you to Soar Running Apparel for sponsoring this video series, and there is a 15% off discount code that you can use that you can find in the description of this video. So please go check out Soar Running Apparel's website and use that code for 15% off. The second sponsor of the Sub 220 Marathon Project video series is Top 4 Running, one of the largest online running retail stores based in Europe. Top 4 Running stock all of the latest models of all the top brands at the lowest prices, and you can use the code SWEATELITE for a further discount on these already very low prices. Top 4 Running have supplied me with all the training shoes and the shoes that I will race in at the Berlin Marathon. So please do go check out Top 4 Running's website if you are in need of some more trainers or races anytime soon, and please use our code SWEATELITE. It is greatly appreciated. Okay, this is a bit of a longer episode because we have video footage from the track session that took place on Tuesday, which is probably one of the best track sessions I've ever done in training for a marathon. That was 4 miles, 2 miles, 1.5 miles, and 1 mile. And we also have a just under 10-minute segment with Brian Livingston from Maurten, who talks all about fueling for a marathon. So that'll be coming up later in this episode as well. But before we dive into that, I want to quickly go through 4 of my favorite questions that have come through this week. Question number 1 from David Foley. What are your thoughts on running beyond your race distance during training, e.g. during marathon training, having a training session or multiple sessions when you run further than the marathon distance? Have you ever done this in previous marathon training blocks? And if so, what is your experience with it? I'm not opposed to doing that. I have done that before. I have done a 45-kilometer run before I ran 224 in Lake Biwa just pre-COVID. It was in March 2020. I think in that block I also did a 42-kilometer run as well. It's one of those things where if your body can handle it and you can recover from those runs, I think that it's not a bad idea to put them in. I know people that have run 207, 208 off maxing at 35 kilometers in terms of long runs, which is about 21.7 miles. And then I know plenty of people that, have run the same times off doing 45-kilometer runs. So there's definitely no right way to do it. I definitely have heard of plenty of people that have done over-distance runs and run very well, but at the same time, I've heard of people that have really struggled to be able to do that in training and be able to recover for the next session. So it's one of those things that's a bit individual, I think. I do think that it requires probably quite a few marathon blocks to build up to doing something like that. My longest run in this block was actually at the start of this week, which you'll learn more about shortly, which is 40k, just under 25 miles. Rick doesn't believe in going any longer than that. He doesn't believe it's really going to help, but of course there are examples of people that have been doing those sorts of long runs. The first one that comes to mind is Australian Liam Adams, who's run 210, one of Australia's best marathoners at the moment, who came 4th at the Com Games. I do know that he has done quite a few over-distance runs, so it works for him. So there's no wrong or right answer there, but it can work for people for sure. Question number 2 from Bon Jovi Bonquito. It says in the title sub 220, but your Strava says the 2022 goal is sub 218. Is the goal A and B respectively? So I believe I've been capable of running under 2:18 if I can figure out how to avoid these muscle cramps. I say that because in Indianapolis, when I ran 2:20, I lost a ton of time at the end in limping my way through cramps. And the way I ran through in 68:45, and I was basically on pace for breaking 2:18 through to about 35k, and that training block there was a lot of travel through there for work. I only averaged just under 70 miles a week. I thought that I was capable of running under 2:18 the following year, so I still do believe that, and I'll try to do that. But this particular run, I just want to try and tick the box of running under 2:20, and I've already committed, as mentioned in a previous episode, that I'll be going out in 70, and hopefully I'm feeling good and I can negative split and run 2:19 or maybe 2:18. I can't see a sub 2:18 happening in Berlin, but it's possible that I might try and do one in December as well. We'll see. Question number 3, Palmer Prod. Is the recent addition of doubles splitting up the runs, or are you adding volume this late to the block? Generally curious, not criticizing. So I've always been a fan of, you set your harder workouts of the week, your long run, and your one or two other workouts. The rest of the volume, in my opinion, should be done purely based on how your body can respond and adapt. And I've always been a believer in do the maximum amount of volume that you can do until your workouts are hindered, until you feel too tired and your workouts are actually, your harder efforts are hindered, or you're not able to do them at the ability that you could otherwise. So I've just been very careful in adding a little bit more mileage every week. It hasn't necessarily always happened as planned because I've been very tired from specific workouts, but sometimes I do split the days up to, for example, if I've got a 12-mile day planned, I might do 2 6-mile runs just because it suits the schedule a little bit better and I feel like I can get through it a little bit easier. But in general, there's no specific plan or rule there. I've taken that approach from my time in Kenya. I think that they're very much listening to their bodies and doing as much as they can. It's not really set out and planned. Rick gives me the workouts of the week and the rest of it is just purely how much I can do in my own time. So hopefully that answers the question. Jack D, question on Matt's strength and conditioning schedule. How does he balance this around runs? Easy days or hard days? Is he keeping the efforts relatively low, avoiding DOMs? So I have been doing the gym workouts on the hard days, straight after the track sessions and the tempo sessions on Tuesdays and Fridays for the most part. There is no ideal place to put the gym workouts because you're always tired, but I do feel like if you put them on the recovery days, you would never really be getting solid recovery or anything decent recovery-wise. So adding them to the end of, after the hard workouts, I feel is what most people do, at least that are, elite or sub-elite. And I've been following that approach and it seems to have been working. I haven't obviously had any issues with recovering from those, and the workouts are not in the gym. I'm not necessarily lifting a lot of weight most of the time. It's a lot of mobility and just general, stretching and flexibility work. So there is more on that coming up in a future episode as well, more to the gym work. Okay, we will go over the training week. That was the 8th week of training of the marathon specific training block. It started with a long, easy, moderate run. I'm not sure if doing 40k can ever be easy, but it's obviously meant to be like a lower heart rate, nothing too fast. We were very lucky with the weather that day. It was overcast the entire time and quite cool. So I did that with Freddie Ovett and Reem on the bike. 24.87 miles at 6:39 pace, which is 40k. Just time on legs, 2 hours 45. On the Monday, I did I actually woke up the next day feeling awesome, which I was really surprised about. I thought I'd be a little bit sore from that, but obviously it wasn't very fast, the 40k run. So it was an 8.26 miles the following morning at 6:43 per mile. On Tuesday was a track workout that you'll see very soon, the video footage of. 4 miles, 2 miles, 1.5 mile, and 1 mile with around 4 minutes recovery on the track. I had a lot of help in this workout, luckily. Nell jumped in and out. She had her own workout to do, but helped me a bit towards the end. Tyler Butterfield, long-time friend, 7:44 Ironman. I think it's maybe the 5th or 6th fastest all time. I could be wrong with that. Competes for Bermuda. He jumped in and helped me with quite a few of the reps as well. And Freddie Ovett joined in for the first one. 4 miles at 5:16 per mile, which is 3:16 per kilometre. 2 miles at 10, which was in 10:12 at 5:06 per mile. 1.5 miles in 7:26, which is 4:27 per mile. 4:57 per mile, sorry. And then 1 mile in 4:47 at the end. That was very controlled. nice weather that day. It was a bit cooler, but yeah, definitely one of the better workouts I've done. It was meant to be sort of a threshold effort until the last mile, and then a little bit quicker. And yeah, I feel like if I had to add on a few more mile repeats at sort of that 4:45 to 4:50, it would have been doable. So great signs. Rick was really happy with that, and the target paces were a little slower than that, but he did say obviously to run to feel, and yeah, awesome workout. On the Wednesday, a 10.66 mile run in the morning at 6:55. In the afternoon, a 6 mile run at 7:07 pace. Nell did mention that I need to up my mileage, and I did promise in a video that I'd try and hit a 100-mile week. I didn't promise, but I said that I'd try to, and this week got very close with 99.5 miles. I'm not sure if I'll actually hit that 100-mile mark, but as mentioned, we're not really going after mileage at all at the moment. On the Thursday, just an easy run with Freddie and Lauren Goss, 10.13 miles at 7:30 pace. On Friday, a 20-mile progressive run with Nell Rojas and Tyler Butterfield. Tyler jumped in for a little over half of it. This was a really good run. It was warm again that morning, so that didn't help. But yeah, we got started at around 6:34 per mile, which is a little over 4 minutes per kilometre, and worked down to doing the second half in around marathon effort. A little bit hilly this loop we were doing, nothing too bad, but it was obviously pretty warm, so we stuck around that sort of 3:25 to 3:30 per kilometre, sort of that 5:30 to 5:40 per mile mark, and yeah, it felt really good. The initial plan was to go 20 miles, but Nell and I were both pretty tired leading into this run, so we did decide to cut it back to 20 miles, and yeah, it was a really, really good training run. 24 miles for the day, 2 mile cool down at the end. And then I was actually very tired on the Saturday. As the Strava log shows, the title cooked on Saturday morning with an 8.28 mile run at 7:33 pace. Yeah, definitely catching up with me. I mean, the previous 8 days, I had that 15K from the previous episode on the Friday, the 40K on the Sunday, the track session, 4 miles, 2 miles, 1.5 and 1 miles on the Tuesday, and then the 20 miler on the Friday. So in 8 days, that was sort of 4 pretty solid efforts, so definitely feeling it. And then in the afternoon, I did a 4.2 mile run just around the place that I'm currently staying at 7:09 per mile. So overall, it was a 99.5 mile week. I was not necessarily trying to hit that 100, but it just happened to be just short. There were some jokes that I should have just added on an extra half mile, but I'm not going to get out the door and do that. I can't be bothered. Yeah, so a half marathon in Seattle this coming Sunday, which I'm looking forward to. So a bit of a lighter week. Still the volume will be there, but the intensity will drop back a little bit. And it's a very hilly course. So the Seattle, it's actually the Washington Rock and Roll Half Marathon is the official name. It's in Seattle. 900 and something feet of elevation gain, about 300 meters. So it obviously won't be too quick, but I figure if I can run a little faster than my goal marathon pace, so 68 or 69 minutes, that'll be great. I'm not really going to be setting any firm plans in terms of pacing because the hills are all over the place, purely running to effort, but I'll be really happy with that. So definitely not shooting for anything fast. I would hope that I could run 66 low or 65 high if I was on a fast course with a good pack. Who knows? That would be what I'd be shooting for if I was in on a fast course. But in this case, I'm not. I think looking at previous race results, there's probably not going to be a lot of people under 70 either, so it might be a bit spread out. But looking forward to heading over to Seattle, catching up with a close friend of mine that I haven't seen for about a year, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Brian Livingston, thanks so much for joining the call to chat about all things fueling over the marathon. We can also talk about half marathon if you think that that's relevant, but you've been working with Maurten now for some time. Thank you so much for joining, and let's get into it.
Pleasure.
So I guess let's talk from the standpoint of someone coming to the marathon that's relatively new, and they start to ask the question of what should I be doing for fueling pre, during a marathon? What would your simple, I guess, response be to such a question?
Great. I think it's first understanding how much carbohydrates play in the energy contribution to a marathon, and especially those runners that are focused on running personal bests and running and racing a marathon, right? I think there's a lot of great traditional brands out there that are great for feeding runners, but fueling is something entirely different. And when it comes to fueling, we got to think of ourselves very similar to cars, in the sense that we want something that's fast burning, fast acting, and doesn't really sit in the tank, but immediately powers our engine. And at high intensities, carbohydrates are key to powering our engine. At lower intensities, we see somewhat of an even contribution of fats and carbohydrates as our energy source. And that can be great in the early phase of training, because you can become a good fat adapted athlete. The only challenge with being a great fat adapted athlete is that when it comes to really running fast and needing carbs, it's not that easy to run fast off fat. And so the ability to really run fast and push the limits requires you to be able to really learn how to burn carbs in perpetuity, because when we are at the intense zone 3, zone 4, zone 5 levels, that ratio changes from 50-50 to more like 80-20, 80% carbs, 20% fats. So you're always still burning fat, but you can see that the contribution of carbs becomes essential. And that's where we really need fuel that's going to be fast burning, fast acting, and something and a product like Maurten that's developed a technology like hydrogel, which I can get into, we feel is the best because it doesn't sit in the stomach. It essentially mainlines itself into the intestine, where it can be oxidized into the bloodstream. That's what gives you fast acting energy.
Very interesting. So this hydrogel is, I guess, the thing that separates Maurten from the other brands, because from what I understand, prior to Maurten becoming all over the elite running and triathlon and other sports for that matter scenes, many people were just using simple carbohydrates, electrolyte drinks such as Gatorade and so forth. And I'm keen to learn more about the hydrogel, because people ask me all the time what the difference is, and I have a hard time explaining it, obviously, because I haven't really fully understood it. So it'd be great to hear more about that from yourself.
So we have to show, not tell. So let's use the example of a sponge, right? And so when we think about a sponge, it's got all these pores in it, right? And so with hydrogel, we're able to actually create a matrix by which we can have water, we can add some sugar, so carbohydrates, right? Sugar.
Yep.
Right? Salt's important, sodium, so we can add some salt to that. We can even add caffeine, right? We can get a little bit of coffee in there.
Bit of coffee. There you go.
So now we've essentially got we've got a Uber, right? We've got a taxi. We've got an Uber here of all these different. Everyone's got into one of these doors here. We've got salt and carbs and caffeine all into the Uber here, and now we're able to drive that directly down past the stomach and into the small intestine, right? So we're completely bypassing the stomach in this Uber, going right into the intestine, where carbs can now be oxidized rapidly. And we think about runners especially, it's not just oxidizing rapidly and having that quick release. It's also just the feeling of having something in your stomach. Running is weight bearing, different from cycling. Running is weight bearing. So we can all kind of attest to that feeling of sloshing that we feel when blood is trying to go to our working muscles, not to our stomach. So if we're relying on a traditional brand of say a traditional syrup or even a solid food that has to sit in our stomach and demand blood flow to digest that, we're taking away from blood that's needed to go to the body. And again, that's our difference with hydrogel, is we're trapping those carbs in a matrix that enables them to bypass stomach digestion. We're actually flipping the whole term digestion on its head. It's not about digestion, it's about oxidation and getting to the bloodstream. And Maurten enables us to do that more rapidly. Traditional brands and solid foods may take 45 minutes to 90 minutes to hit the system, whereas hydrogel takes about 21 minutes to hit the system.
21. There you go. Very specific. I do remember you telling me this some time ago when you were doing a lot of testing. So I guess the next question I have is, before we round up, is what quantity should people be consuming? I know it's very different for different people depending on how long they'll be running for, but let's say someone just comes to you and says, Brian, what should I be doing in the 24 hours before a marathon and then during, in order to maximize my performance over a marathon? You can use different examples of time if you like, but however you would answer that.
Sure. So our slogan is get used to it. And it's a call to action to get people to understand that, hey, it's carbs. We need carbs, but it's about increasing your tolerability over time. So the American College of Sports Medicine recommends that for exercise under an hour, let's just say, not necessarily need for fuel. In fact, just your pre-meal is probably enough. And then if you wanted to give yourself a little sensation of sugar, you can actually rinse with a sugary drink, and that can be enough to even stimulate your mind to sense that you're getting sugar. But over 90 minutes, we definitely see merit to taking on carbohydrates. And here's where we recommend following our Maurten Fuel Guide that can actually be found on Maurten.com. And this gives you a blueprint for how to alternate our various products in ways in which you can pre-fuel with our drink mix, say 3 hours before a marathon, and then during the marathon, how to alternate our gels, which are easy for the everyday runner to carry, because we know not every runner has access to drink bottles on a drink table and has, our elite marathon bottles. So the gels can be a great way for the everyday runner to be able to get those carbohydrate recommendations, which as we said, 100 grams an hour is probably a good starting point. But we've seen athletes now getting up to 160 grams per hour. It takes time to do that, and it's again using our fuel plan that shows you ideally how to alternate them in what kinds of intervals, and that's not just for long runs as well. We have plans for shorter interval sessions, tempo runs, and then for cyclists out there too, there's a whole plan for them.
Awesome. So people can check that out on the Maurten website.
Yep, you'll see the link to the fuel guide.
Awesome. I'll put the link in the description of this video.
Great.
Thank you so much, Brian. Any last words for people that are preparing for marathons in the next few months, in terms of how they can maximize their performance, I guess, from a fueling standpoint that we haven't already covered? Or do you think we've covered it all? I
think we've covered it all. The race has a great mythology around it, and so it's designed to be hard. But I think there are ways in which we can crack the code a little bit, and I think fueling is one of them. So
absolutely,
it's certainly been helpful for me. I'm in my encore years now, and selfishly working for Maurten as a way to biohack my way into some semblance of competitiveness. And I find that fueling with carbohydrates, quick and light, has been an unlock for me.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining, Brian. Really appreciate your advice.
My pleasure. Thanks, Matt.
I'm not ashamed to show reality. That's for sure. Guest appearance.
Cool, we rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we've got a good little track session happening today, and I've got some good company as well in Tyler Butterfield, who's fresh off the Commonwealth Games triathlon, and helping me out today. I had a good time training with Tyler before Lake Biwa Marathon in 2020 when I ran 2:24. Spent I think it was 5 weeks in Boulder training with you. Yeah, and Tyler was in Tokyo Marathon that got cancelled. It was the one just as COVID started. But what are you hoping to do today?
Just help you along. Just company.
Yeah. No, thanks for coming out, man.
It's good to be here with Matt. It's always fun to have people in town.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's fun to watch his progress from that. You said that was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
You lowered it down.
Yeah, I think I was 227 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now what's PB though?
220 now.
220.
Hopefully
So
under.
Yeah.
In a few weeks.
Got to crack that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to try and convince Tyler to do another marathon at some point soon, but he's tough to convince these days. So you go.
No, getting older and don't like it. But you don't have to twist my arm that hard.
Boston next year, perhaps. And we've got Freddie Ovett over here, who's joining for the workout, fresh off his 40k run 2 days ago. Also Berlin Marathon starter. How you feeling?
We'll see.
So Freddie's doing Berlin. He's a professional cyclist now, as many would probably know, but is jumping on the marathon bandwagon once a year is the plan?
Once a year where it works.
Yeah. 10 miles a week?
10 miles a week, more or less. Pushing my luck, but we'll go into our break.
Yeah.
Did LA last year off basically no running, so that was okay. So I figured that
How'd LA go?
it was all right. I was 2:48 with no running, more or less, 20-minute runs for the win. And I used to be a runner my whole life, more or less. I started cycling professionally, kind of gave up running, started running with my girlfriend through COVID, and just sort of rediscovered the love for it. Added a little bit into my weekly routine and found that it just made me feel a lot better on the bike generally. And this year I've started doing a little bit more, like one longer run a week, more or less, and I've had my best year on the bike in terms of results. So yeah, it's great for me. I can enjoy another sort of side passion, and it complements my job. So Matt and I go way back, high school days. So
we all went to the same high school in Australia.
Yeah.
Tyler was a few years older than me, Freddie's a few years younger.
Yeah.
So we never were all there at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all come from TSS in the TSS high school on the Gold Coast.
Pretty sure I still hold the record actually. Just I might get that in there just for now.
Yeah, which ones? I think you hold the under 13, under 14, 800 and
all the young ones. Yeah.
All the young ones.
All the young ones. Yeah. But connected with Matt, and just it's cool to see his journey. I've followed it along just as a mate, and I think he's doing super well. Excited to see what he can do Berlin. I'm kind of more interested about him than myself, to be honest. And it's nice that I can kind of hop in and out of some of his reps because he's quite a bit faster than me. So it's great. Nice little thing to do in the mornings before I hop on the bike in the afternoons.
Yeah. So Freddie's going to shoot for sub 2:30 in Berlin. He hasn't actually said that, but I've put that pressure on him.
Yeah,
I guess off a very low mileage. No, yeah. I think 2:30 to 2:35 would be a fantastic run, given that you're literally running once or twice.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean 2:48 last year off nothing in LA. Berlin much faster. Done a bit more running. Just send it for 2:30. Sub 2:30 if I blow up, who cares? It's not my job.
So 2 days ago we did 40k, which is 24.8 miles here out of Boulder Res. Not a super hilly course, but not flat. And we did that in 2:45, which is 2:54 marathon pace. And Freddie was super comfortable doing that. We were talking at the end.
Went surprisingly well. 2 days later, I'm here, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
So
didn't affect you too much.
My month of stimulus is on the right track at the moment.
Yeah. So this morning we have 4 miles, 2 miles, 1.5 miles, and then 1 mile. And we were going to do the 4 miles on the road, but because these guys want to jump in and out of the 4 miles and not do the whole thing, Freddie might try and do the whole thing. We'll see how he's going. We wanted to find a road loop, but there's not one that's flat, so we're going to do the whole workout on the track. I think the recovery is 3 to 4 minutes. Rick should be here soon. But yeah, we'll try and start the first one a little faster than marathon pace and work down to 10k, 5k pace towards the end. So first one probably around 5:15 to 5:20 per mile, and then work down to 4:50 ideally in the last mile. So here we go.
Second, right? And peel it off.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Surprised you've done this so easily. Again. You've been doing some sticky training, haven't you? I haven't. With that long on Strava. Good job, guys.
Yeah, we got such good conditions today, so it's going to be a bit easier than some of the last few sessions, for sure. Freddie is a mystery case. He hardly runs. To do that at altitude is ridiculous off no training. Because he doesn't live here either. He came from sea level like 3 weeks ago, so damn, the guy's fit. No, quick drink into the 2 mile.
Okay, good.
Now we've got 3,200. What was the recovery? 3 to 4 minutes?
Yeah, take 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Yeah, take 4 minutes. So what I'm more interested in is the quality of that rep than the rest. So take as much time as you need.
Okay.
When you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
So 3,200 will drop down to like 510s?
So start off at 510-ish and see if you can run negatives. Because we got more after that, right? We got 2,400?
2,400 and then a mile, and then 1,600.
Okay, so 510 is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Awesome.
So take a nice recovery. Make sure you're hydrated.
We'll do it.
All right. Okay. Well, I think the key thing is he's been consistent. He hasn't missed any workouts.
Yeah.
You know, it hasn't like been
We went like 520 and then like
one of those situations where there's been a hiccup along the way.
No.
He's been able to stay consistent at a fairly high quality.
Yeah.
So that is great. He's also brought in. Yeah.
100%. He's strong.
Okay, now.
35. 36, a little bit quick.
Come on, Matt. Last one.
54.
Good work, mate.
10, 11, 12, 506. Okay, have her start right now. Okay. Matt?
Yeah.
10-12 pace. So we were looking at the 10-12 overall, right?
Yeah.
So that's 6 seconds faster per mile than we talked about.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good sign. Plus, you look good. The last lap was excellent.
Felt comfortable? Yeah.
No, that's great. Okay, so what's up? 2,400 meters?
Yeah.
So
6
don't-
laps.
I just want you to stay relaxed and focused on this one. Don't worry about the time.
Okay.
Okay, just let it fall where it will. Right now, if we stop the workout, that would be fine. If we just walked home right now. That's why you can be a little conservative on the next 2 reps.
Okay.
All right? Take
Sure.
as much time as you need. All right,
I think it was
good work
64.
on that. Good work on that.
Thanks.
Let's go. Okay, guys.
Go, guys. Man, perfect pacing.
27,
Perfect.
28,
229.
29.
Let's go, boys.
1, 2,
Right on, man.
3, sub 5, sub 5, sub 5.
Go get it, man.
Let's go, man. Way to go, way to go.
Nice, Matt.
5, 26, sub 5 minutes in.
Nice. I think I threw in 456, 457, and
So
basically
I
continue
think,
that pace. So
Man, our numbers originally were like a 5:10, right?
for that one, yeah.
On that one. And you
Like
ran under 5 minute
4:56.
pace. Big break on there.
Yep.
Big breakthrough.
Yeah,
Nice going on that.
feeling good.
That take as much. Are you feeling good?
Yeah,
All right. And the asthma's not acting up.
a little bit of coughing
A
post,
little bit?
but when I'm running, it's fine.
Okay, how's your hydration?
Good.
Keep the
plenty
hydration
in.
going. Keep
Yeah.
the hydration going.
I think the best part is, and this is always a good sign, that like after a minute recovery, if you feel like you've recovered really well, that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a
I've
good
had a minute
sign.
now, and I
Yeah, your
feel like I
heart,
could go again now.
heart rate's
so I
settling
need to.
down very quickly. That's good. That's good.
3.
Go, guys.
Okay, here we go, guys.
Heads up, heads up, heads up. Go get it.
46, 47.
Nice. 447. That's like 358. 258. 59 per K. Oh.
So Matt, our target was like a 5 minute on that one, right? Originally?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a 45 I got.
440, yeah.
Is that what you got? 45?
47.
47. Okay,
Yeah.
that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Came through, even pace, strong last 400 meters.
Yeah, last 400 was a little quicker.
So our
Thanks to Tyler, he picked it up down there.
so our metrics,
Thanks,
we're ahead
man.
of our metrics by some substantial amount.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Great workout. You can walk away from that one being proud.
Yeah.
And you know, but you worked hard for it to get to that point.
Yep.
Now here's the good news. The good news is if we did another marathon build-up, you're going to jump even faster
Yeah.
through the entire procession.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And
you.
substantially faster than we've ever done before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably
So
the best.
that was excellent. Yeah.
Best
Yeah.
marathon session I've probably ever done.
That's the best marathon session. But everything's looking good. Your long runs, your
Yeah.
time trials, all the metrics are looking great.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
faster than what I'd written originally. So
Yep.
we're good there.
Still plenty of time as well.
Plenty of time. Well, we have a couple more weeks of hard training.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, and you know what I tell you is I'll write those numbers that are, you know, somewhat aggressive.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling better, run faster.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Exactly what you did.
Cool. So that's probably the third last track session, or third or fourth last. Stoked with that. You know, you don't want to analyze individual workouts too much, but I think the reason why I'm really proud or happy with that is, like I mentioned before, Freddie and I did 40K 2 days ago. Not too hard, it was sort of an easy, moderate pace or effort, but obviously that's going to sit in your legs. And to come out today and feel almost like that wasn't 2 days ago, I feel felt really fresh, and to be able to hit those paces. And honestly, probably feel like I could have done 1 or 2 more miles at 445 is a great sign. So yeah, definitely trending in the right direction. And now it's, like Rick said in a text message last week, I think the fitness is there now. It's now about just like maintaining and make sure the recovery is sufficient and really avoiding any injuries. It'd be devastating now to pick up something when I'm probably already in aerobically fit enough shape to run under 220 or very close. So now it's just about maintaining and avoiding any problems. But thanks for coming out, Nate. Till next time. Thanks guys for following along. Cool.